all of the operations the IDF is doing in the past, day or two are with a thought in the background of a possible Iranian attack, and also many kind of security forces were saying that the past few days have been very dramatic in the IDF operation, because assuming there will be some sort of a ceasefire with Lebanon, so wanting to achieve as much as possible before that happens, and hopefully it will happen at a certain point. But the IDF definitely did say they've located hundreds of weapons, including mortars, RPG missiles, explosives, AK-47s, etc. Eliminating a number of terrorists. And there's also been activity in Syria, according to certain reports. So that's very active, and obviously, as you said, in the central Gaza Strip, there's have been lots of operational activity, and pretty much kind of taking apart infrastructure in different sites. According to the IDF, these are sites that have been housing terrorists. I definitely see there being, close-up fighting in the near future, and just a reminder, there still are more than 100 Israelis in captivity, and whether the IDF has or doesn't have intelligence about their whereabouts, or obviously if they would have it, they probably would have been able to at least reach them, whether alive or dead. But that's still kind of the main goal of this operation, is to receive those civilians and soldiers within these areas. And just as Yahya Sinwar, the former and late head of Hamas, who was living in a civilian area, so the assumption would probably be that the hostages would be in these areas. So I definitely would expect there being more kind of one-on-one combat. I would say Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government feel kind of, they feel an urge to always repeat the fact that they were the ones urging an entrance to Rafah, where there were many who were against it in the international arena, including those with Israel's allies, who were urging Israel not to enter. So as time goes by, we actually do see the reasons for entering Rafah. I would say most of the leaders are not, retracting their comments about this. And the Netanyahu government obviously trying to press it and repeat this messaging. I don't think it's necessarily getting across, overseas. It's very difficult to understand the nuance and the specifics of every single news story, definitely with everything going on in the world today. So definitely, yeah, as time goes by, we see more and more success. Unfortunately, also civilians being killed because they're still in these areas. But the IDF needed to enter Rafah. I live in the Jerusalem area, so this area is actually isn't very full of sirens and attacks from the air. But a very huge proportion of Israel is under those threats. Just this morning, Tuesday morning, we saw a drone come in from the east, from Jordan, and it was intercepted in the area of the Dead Sea and Masada, a very known biblical site here in Israel. So it's still also unclear as we speak who is taking responsibility for this, but it definitely came from east of Israel. That's an area that never had sirens before, so it kind of proves and repeats the issue that Israel's not fighting with. It's not the Israel-Hamas war. It's an Israel-Iranian proxy war with 7 fronts, and assumably maybe this came from Iraq, but it's an ongoing situation. There's so many contradicting reports when it comes to an Iranian attack on Israel. I mean, Iran has been, and the Ayatollah Khamenei has also been very clear on social media, as well as the speaking engagements, that Iran is going to attack Israel, and it repeatedly says it every day. There are those that say it's going to happen before an election, those saying it will happen before a administration change if Donald Trump wins. So it's kind of very vague in that sense. But on the other side, the U.S. and Israel have been taking this very seriously. The U.S. bringing in large amount of forces to the Middle East, as well as Israel announcing yesterday, last night, that they're on high alert and ready for any type of scenario. So this is not a regular day within a very irregular year, but it's definitely a tense day.
נכנסנו פה למחנה צבאי, שטח סבוך ומבוצר, ממש בלב הוואדי, אתם יכולים לראות מסביב, הוא ממש בקו האפיק. פלוגה ג' של הגדוד פה יתרה, עמוק בתוך השטח, תת קרקע, מאוד מאוד עמוק, עם תחמושת, בעצם מחסן תחמושת שהוחבא בתוך השטח הסבוך. אפשר להתקרב ולראות רגע איך המנהרה הזאת נכנסת פנימה, ויצרו פה בעצם בונקר בתוך השטח, תחמושת חצוב בתוך סלע, מאוד 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 קשה.
נכנסים פנימה כרגע, מנהרה חצובה בצורה יפה מאוד. יש פה הסתעפויות. אפשר לראות פה חדר שהייה, מרחב של באזור ה-2x2. כאן מצאנו גם 3 קלאצ'ים, עם וסט וכוננות, 6 מחסניות. אתם רואים פה כל מיני בקבוקים. ופה אנחנו רואים עוד המון ציוד צבאי שנמצא פה בתוך התוואי. יש פה גם תאורה, יש פה גנרטור בחוץ. אתם רואים שיש פה אפשרות לתאורה, מנורות.